If I were to ask you who is the face of ESPN, who is the face of the network formerly known as the worldwide leader in woke, who would you say? Uncle Casey, that's easy. The face of ESPN is crying Ryan Clark. I didn't say the face of disgrace. I didn't ask who was on the cover of Beta Male magazine. I am asking who is the face of ESPN. Most of you guys are going to say Stephen A. Smith, right? Especially if we're talking about the NBA. For the last decade, Stephen A. Smith has been the undisputed face of ESPN. He is the highest paid talent in sports media. When people think of ESPN, they think of Stephen A. Now, with ESPN providing exclusive coverage of the NBA Finals, which is devastating news for those of us who will be watching, although I will say, ESPN has drastically improved their coverage of the NBA this season, mainly because ESPN was given far fewer access to NBA games. So we didn't have to deal with Mark Jones. Who? Mark Jones! Mark Jones! And we damn sure didn't have to deal with Doris Burke. Not only is ESPN covering the NBA Finals, the New York Knicks are competing for a championship for the first time in over 25 years. Supposedly, Stephen A. Smith is a huge fan of the New York Knicks. Now, of course, I don't think he actually watches games, especially during the regular season, but Stephen A. Smith likes to pretend that he is the most famous fan of the New York Knicks. Now, with that being the case, you would think ESPN would be heavily featuring Stephen A. Smith while covering the NBA Finals. He is the face of the network. His team is competing for a championship. It makes sense that Stevie would be heavily featured. Right? Not only is Stephen A. Smith not heavily featured, according to ESPN's press release, Uncle KC will be more involved with ESPN's coverage of the NBA Finals than Stephen A. Smith because Stevie wasn't invited. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. Now, in fairness to Stephen A. Smith, it is entirely possible that he asked to not be included in ESPN's coverage of the NBA Finals. If you ever watch Stephen A., especially on YouTube, he likes to tell us how busy he is. I do 2 hours of live television every morning on First Take. I've been #1 for the last 14 years. There is no #2 because we are the only show in our category. I have 2 shows on SiriusXM. I'm on YouTube 3-4 times a week. I'm busy. I'm important. Damn it. I drive a Dodge Stratus. Do I think Stephen A. Smith requested to be removed from covering the NBA Finals? Absolutely not, especially with the Knicks being involved. But either way, Stephen A. Smith will not be a part of ESPN's coverage. What's interesting about this is who ESPN chose to replace him. Game 3 of the NBA Finals, Pat McAfee will be leading an alternate presentation. I'm assuming that means an alternate broadcast. Pat McAfee's not an NBA guy. Pat McAfee specializes in covering football. The NBA, this is supposedly Stephen A. Smith's area of expertise. And he has been replaced, at least for one game, by Pat McAfee. To me, this is a clear signal that ESPN is moving to replace Stephen A. Smith with Pat McAfee as the face of their network. And look, Stephen A. Smith might be okay with it. he's been open about the fact that he wants to eventually get out of sports media. He wants to host a late night show. He's becoming more and more involved in politics. It's possible that this is what Stephen A. Smith wants, which could be a good thing because right now, Stephen A. Smith is overexposed, which is exactly what Uncle Casey said would happen when he expanded his schedule. First take. It was the only show on ESPN that did not show ratings growth in the first quarter of this year. His YouTube channel has seen a drastic decline in views. Last May, Stephen A. Smith generated almost 12 million views here on YouTube. Last month, 4 million. Now keep in mind, most of us creators, we are seeing viewership increases this year because YouTube finally demonetized the AI garbage. Stephen A. Smith, he has seen almost a 70% decline. Perhaps there is growing Stephen A. Smith fatigue. Now, to his credit, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he maintains this schedule. It is hard enough keeping up with sports. It's hard enough doing 2 hours of live television every morning, 5 days a week. I make 3 videos a day, about 40 minutes per day of content. By the end of the day, my brain is ready to turn off. By the end of the day, I'm tired of thinking. I don't see how his current schedule is sustainable, which could be the reason that Stephen A. Smith is becoming less involved at ESPN. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later on the main channel.